What is up, fight fans? Welcome back to Picking a Fight. I'm Latch, and today we're going to be looking at UFC 284, Makhachev versus Volkanovski. We're going to be looking at the main event, but before we get started, don't forget to like this video. It helps us out a ton. We appreciate it a lot. And subscribe if you're looking for content like this. We post for every fight night and pay-per-view. If you want to see more of us, go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss out. And yeah, let's hop right into it. So we got the lightweight champion, Islam Makhachev. He's 23-1. He's 31 years old. He's 5'10" with a 70.5-inch reach, and he's currently on an 11-fight win streak with his last 3 over Charles Oliveira, Bobby Green, and Dan Hooker. And he's going up against the featherweight champion Alexander Volkanovski. He's 25-1. He's 34 years old. He's 5'6" with a 71.5-inch reach, and he's currently undefeated in the UFC, with his last 3 being over Max Holloway, Korean Zombie, and Brian Ortega, all at featherweight. So the featherweight champ Alexander Volkanovski will be a plus 300 underdog on his trip to lightweight against Islam Makhachev, who's the minus 400 favorite. So the featherweight champ, pound for pound number 1, Alexander Volkanovski, his game has become super well-rounded, and we've seen it in his last 3 fights against Ortega, Zombie, and Holloway. He has perfected, I think, his craft. He's become so well-rounded. His striking has improved a ton. We saw it against a really good striker in Max Holloway. We saw it displayed against Ortega, but I think it was more impressive against a striker like Max. You don't really see a lot of smaller fighters lead with their jab just because they're usually at a reach or height disadvantage. But Volk has looked really good, against Max, someone much taller, against Zombie, someone taller and longer, against Ortega, taller and longer as well. He was able to utilize his jab, lead his offense when it comes to striking with his jab. And I think he's going to have to look to do the same in this fight against Islam. He's become such a much bigger threat. He's kind of a jack of all trades now. He is going up in weight against a much bigger guy. And he's going up against Islam Makhachev, the current lightweight champ, the number 2 pound for pound in the world. And he will be defending his title for the first time. I raved about how well-rounded Volk was, but Islam is kind of the opposite. Islam is more of a specialist. Although his striking and overall game has improved, it's his wrestling that's really his specialty and his strong suit. When it comes to his grappling, he is so strong. A lot of fighters that come out said that pressure is unreal, and he is super technical. His ability to fail a takedown but chain it into another technique, I think, is unmatched. The only person that really reminds me of that is Khabib, that can do it at that level. These Dagestani wrestlers are different, and they don't give up on the wrestling. They know that's the plan, and they stick to it. They really believe in themselves and their grappling. And it allows Islam to kind of strike more freely because he's not scared to get taken down by any of these guys. That pressure is absolutely suffocating, and he's going to be looking to do the same against Volkanovski. He has been talking kind of a big game about how he's going to knock Volk out, and that's what he wants to do. In my opinion, that's probably the wrong way to take it. And like I said earlier, like, his threat of a takedown is so big that it makes these guys worried. We saw it against Dan Hooker, where these guys just don't want to get taken down, where it makes them very timid on the feet, where they just don't want to throw in fear of getting taken down. And I think that's going to let Islam kind of throw what he wants, because he's not scared of Volkanovski's wrestling. I think he knows that he can get up from it. We always compare him to Khabib, and obviously, their grappling heavy approaches are very, very similar. But I think where Khabib was much better at delivering the ground and pound and finishing these guys due to strikes, I think Islam's sub game is much better. I think his ability to find these submissions is way better. And obviously, being coached by Khabib, he won't be in this corner this fight, but just being coached him up to this point is, such a big plus for him. In my opinion, I'm kind of torn. I really like Volk. He's the current pound for pound fighter, but I think this is too big of a matchup for him. I don't think he was given enough time to really get into shape for 155 and be just as big as Islam's going to be, because Islam cuts a lot of weight, and Volk does too for featherweight, but it's different when you're not given the time to acclimate. And I think Islam's just going to be way too big and way too strong for Volk at this moment. I think the ground is inevitable for Volk, and I think Islam's going to get a nightmare for him, and I think he's going to make it kind of look easy, to be honest. Volk is a lot shorter, and that does, I think, tend to help with stopping takedowns, but I just think it's inevitable, man. His ground game is elite, probably the best we've ever seen, and I think he gets him down. And so I have Islam Makhachev by submission. I just think he's going to be way too big, way too strong for Volk. But let me know down below what you think. Do you think I'm underestimating Volkanovski? What do you think are his best chances to win this fight? And what is the easiest road to victory for Volkanovski? UFC 284, Makhachev versus Volkanovski. It's going to be a great night of fights. Do not forget to tune in. I'll see you next week. But until then, take care.